Hi, welcome back to Lamrim. And boy, we left this poor lady whose children had died, whose parents had died, whose husbands had died, who had been buried alive a few times. And we left her. She finally came to where the Buddha was, and something strange happens. The Buddha stands up far away I guess it's in the garden of Jetavan in Shravasti, and where he taught her the diamond cutter. And he looks at her and he says, "Welcome," And it's supposed to be very strange that the Buddha would stand up for someone else who walks in the room and says, "Welcome." And he says, "Come to me." And then she's embarrassed to stand up because she doesn't have any clothes on, because she was just dug out of a grave by a wolf, right? So here we go. Then the Buddha said to Kungawa, "Who's that?" Nanda, yay. Pumedila ke kanchik means get some clothes on this lady. Give this lady some clothes. Kanchik che katsalpa. Katsalpa is a very high honorific word for, he bespoke. Kome ke kene. Then she's telling the story. Komo means me, feminine. Ancient. So this sutra is very old. Kome ke kene. I put the clothes on. Chomdedeki shabla gua chaksate. And I did a prostration to Lord Buddha and touched my head to his feet. Dalak tupsewa gonne, please love me, please show me your love. Dak rapta chuan, and please ordain me, please grant me the vows of a nun. And this Tim, usually it means to hurt somebody, G-N-O-D, Kao nanor no dadne, but here it's the imperative of Noah, which means to nepad, which means to grant vows. So you won't see it. It's 1 out of 10,000 something. So she's not asking the Buddha to hurt her. Okay. I requested him. Chomdedeki kungawala katsalte. And then the Buddha said to Ananda, Pume de kegu damula te. Let's turn this woman over to kegu damo. Kegu damo. Kegu means all the beings of the universe. Dakmo means the lady in charge of all the beings in the universe. And this is a name for Prajapati, who was the Buddha's foster mother. And the Buddha's own mother died about a week after she gave birth to him. And then he spent his whole childhood being taken care of by Prajapati. And then when he became the Buddha, she became the first nun of all in this world. There's a picture of her here. Kind of corny. I thought this picture is probably painted by some crazy person in France or something, but it's actually painted in Sri Lanka. And this is a painting of Prajapati and Lord Buddha, and she was his foster mother. So Buddha says, take this homeless lady who just crawled out of a grave and turn her over to Prajapati, and she can, rapta chung shik, imperative tense, she can ordain this woman, okay? So it's also interesting that the Buddha is asking a woman to ordain a woman, and nowadays, I think a guy has to be there, right? Jigme or something? Yeah, but that's kind of strange. It seems like in the original times, Buddhists like saying, the ladies can take care of the ladies, So I don't know. Probably changed at some point. All right. Dene kyage damu komaratu chungne. Then Prajapati ordained me. Komo na dembashi chuten. She taught me the 4 higher truths. Komo tumma taktu. Just after I heard about those 4 truths, everything is suffering. There's a cause of the suffering. You can stop the suffering. And there's a path to stop the suffering. Tsundu sunenten chepe. I worked very hard to practice what she taught me about the 4 truths. Da chomba top. What's that mean? I top Dachomba. I achieved Dachomba. Arhat. I became an Arhat. So that's so cool. You don't, to be honest, you don't see a lot of stories of ladies reaching nirvana in the ancient books because it was such a male-dominated culture. But in this story, she's the heroine. Dachomba Topte, I achieved Arhat Depadang Maombadang Tata Kichawa Kuntopa Kirto. And very importantly, I gained the power to see all the events of the past, the future, and the present. So I could see what was going on, which is a segue by Lord Buddha into the next section. Okay, what's the next section going to be then? They're going to tell the story of why she got buried twice and all this stuff, okay? Remember that she has like 500 nuns around her. She's telling a story. She's already famous. What did they ask her to start this story? How did this story start? The nuns came to her and said, we still feel attracted to guys and to having a nice house. And, we became nuns, but frankly, we're still attracted to guys. We're still attracted to having a nice house and all this stuff. What karma did you do before that? That you could get the karmic maturations that you have described to us. Since you're an Arhat, you can see all the past history. So you can tell us why you went through all this stuff in the past before you became a nun. And by the way, her motivation is to encourage them not to be attached to family life. Okay. You guys, listen up. And I will tell you what happened before all this. What was the karma that I had to go through all that? Shame Mesa. When Debetun Yun Rinpo Shigna, so long ago, once upon a time, Kim Dak Shintu Chugla Shigla, Shintu Chukpa Shigla, there was a very wealthy householder. Pu Mepanle, he hadn't had a son yet to carry on his family line. Chunma Shiglang, so he took on a junior wife. Chunma means a second wife. Excuse me. Chunma de la Shindu Chamba. He had a lot of chamba to that Chunma. Yeah, now here's chamba in the sense of worldly love. Okay. Rinpo Manlum Bar Chunma de, and because of that, before long, the Chunma got a semchen. Yeah, got pregnant. Okay, good. Yeah, remember? She got a sentient being. Meaning she got pregnant. Okay. Dawat Sangne, when the time was ripe, second paragraph, when the required 9 months had passed. Kyu Shikzete. Tse means, Tse is the Buddhist word for born, because in Buddhism the word born refers to conception. So Tse means to drop out. It means come out of the womb. Okay, so we would say born. Kyoshik ni de la chamshin dukpadzino. And the husband and wife, Kyoshuk, were very much in love with the boy. And Dukpadzinto kept him he looked very attractive to them. This Dupa is the Duk in Dungyo, but it means the opposite. So this is tricky. You have to be careful when you're translating it. Okay, it means they couldn't keep their eyes off of him. Okay. Dene chenme dinyam desamso. Then the older wife, what? The first wife. Well, she got jealous, right? Of course. Dinyam desamso. Komoni, she said to herself, I am Rikcheshin Tsun Murki. I am a high caste, and I am a spiritual. I belong to a spiritual caste, the wanderer caste, probably, right? Pumepe, Pumepe. By the way, this isn't Pume, this is Pume. Okay? Good, yeah. Pume means woman, which means somebody without a certain organ, which is a bad word. But that's the Tibetan word for woman. Or Kemin, which means lower birth. Okay, the two ancient words for woman. Probably woman is similar, by the way. And then here it means pu mepe, which means I don't have a son. Therefore, rik tsopa medo. Rik means the family line. Tsopa means someone to carry on the family line. So I don't have a son to carry on the family line. Kelte kyu dir cherkene. And then if this boy grows up, rik tso ching nordan longchut ki tapugyote, he will take over the family line, and he will have lots of money and possessions. He will take possession of all the possessions of our family. Dakla miter, and he won't give them to me. They won't give them to me. Dak dupar gyuro. Now here's dupa as the opposite. Okay, and I will suffer. I will suffer. Okay, I will want. Nyamdu chaktoke. She got chakto. What's that? Chakto. One of the mental afflictions. She got jealous. Yeah, chaktok. She got very jealous. Separsam. This sepa means to kill. Okay, she got the thought, I will kill this child. Okay, and then very terrible story. Bukyu tsokma. Tsokma means the top of the skull of the child. She stuck a needle in the top of the skull of the baby. And cup means needle. Tsuk means she stuck a needle in the top of the Ma yang minawar cheso, and she did it in such a way that nobody could see that there was a hole there. So she shoved a knitting needle into his head and took it out slowly and made sure nobody could see the place where she pushed in the needle. That's terrible, terrible. I mean, cooking the child, and now you have to killing the child. It's very weird. Kiyang Rimba Malumba, that boy also, before long, Tsendepa, he passed away. His life passed, right? Chunma Kamne, and the younger wife, what do you call it? She fell unconscious, okay? Chenmala, and then when she recovered, she said, Chenma kyuki nge pusedo. She said to the older wife, I think you killed my child. She gel to. This gel means to, sometimes gel means to cross the ocean of suffering. And there's a famous verse in the Bodhisattva bell ceremony when we say, I will free those who have yet to be freed. And okay, this is the verb used there, to cross the ocean. But here it means to argue with somebody. So she yelled to the older wife, I think you killed my boy. Chenme nyune means the older wife denied the accusations. DK chen nawar. Nawo means to, these are all ancient words. Nawo means to take an oath, okay, to swear on your Bible or to swear something. Nawar, ro. Komo kyukipu sepa kyona. If it's true that I killed your son, komo kyewa tamjidu komo kyo dul dupe sepa shokchik. Then in all my future lives, may my husbands be bitten by poisonous snakes and die. She's like, if it's true that I hurt your son, then in all my future lives, may all my husbands get bitten by snakes and die. And Pushik Yunayang Chukyewa. And if I happen to have a son, may he be carried away by a river. Okay. Or Chanki Sawar, or consumed by a wolf. Okay. Shokchik means may it happen. If it's me who killed your son, then I vow. This is my vow. Okay. Koma lu kyan sumbar du chuk, and may I be buried alive in a grave. Okay, myself. All right. Pui shas sawar shokchik, and may I even eat the flesh of my own son. Okay, if it's true that I hurt your son. Okay. Pame kim de me shorte. May the home of my parents catch on fire. Tamje tsikbashok, and may everybody who lives there be burned up. Chinmeso, she took this, she swore like that. They say na they keche na borwe chenmani. Guess who is the older wife of those days? She says, Utpala, Blue Lotus is saying, guess who that was? Komoyin. What's that mean? Komoyin. It's me. Okay, it was me. Yente. They died tamche lukin your gyuro. And then I underwent all of those sufferings in this body. Okay. Genema dedaki mepa. The assembled nuns said to her, Sunam chishik chena, sange tongshin, sange ki sune rabtu chungde, karwe tar chimbargyar. They said, but now tell us the karma that you did to lay eyes on the Buddha and to have the Buddha stand up and greet you and ask you to come to him, and then for the Buddha to arrange that you are ordained, and then to reach Korwata, to go to the Korwata. Yeah, to reach the end of the cycle of pain. Well, can you tell us the good story of why later in your life you met the Buddha and you got ordained and you became an arhat? What happened there, She said, Utpale mepa. Utpala said, Mun Varanasi dir. In a former life here in Varanasi. In Varanasi, if you go there, it's 5,000 years old and you can feel it. The people who live in Varanasi swear it's a separate universe. They say it's not part of this world. And you can, so many strange things happen in Varanasi. So anyway, Varanasi, dear Changsong Hak, there was a place called the Place of the Saints. Rangsangye, there was Rangsangye's Nientes and Mutekchen. There were lots of saints living there, and they were self-made Buddhas and listeners and non-Buddhists who possessed the 5 kinds of clairvoyance, okay? Which if you struggle through Ben Kramer's text, you know what they are. Okay. Then there was I don't know if the spelling here is wrong, but it seems to be a pair of self-made Buddhas went to the town, to the city, to beg for food. Kimdaki chuma shiki tongne, and the wife of a certain family, of a certain householder, Raptaga. By the way, Raptaga is the name of the first Bodhisattva level. Okay, it's called extreme joy or something. She got extreme joy. And by the way, maybe it's meaningful here that the same word, I don't know. Sunyam Pune, and she gladly offered a meal to the monks, Chepa Cheso, and made offerings to them. Tene Rang Sangye de Nankala Pakte. Here's the word Pakpa. By the way, this ancient sutras are so useful, right? So here's the word Pakpa, which usually means Arya. Here it means to rise up. Okay, so that self-made Buddha was, that's a good meal. And he rose up in the sky, Lu Me Bar, and fire came out of his body. Okay, and then Chumbab, he dropped rain on Varanasi to make everybody happy. If you've ever been in Varanasi in the summer, it's 45 people die walking down the street. It's so hot. Then Drowadan Nyowadan Dupe Zutu, he showed various miracles in which he was either walking or laying down or sitting. These are the traditional modes of going through the day. Either you're sitting down or you're walking or you're laying down. Okay, and he went through the whole day showing miracles. Then Kimdaki Chuma Day. And that housewife, she said, may I also in the future become like him. That's cool. That's so cool that he's flying in the sky and he's shooting off fire and he can rain on the whole city. And, I want to be like him in my future life. Menlam tapo. I made that prayer. Okay. The housewife who made the prayer in those ancient times in Varanasi. Komoyin. What's that mean, you guys? Komoyin. That was me. Okay, that was me. Therefore, what's she going to say? What is it? Translation of expecting something to come. What's she going to say next? And that's why, that's why I saw the Buddha. That's why he greeted me. That's why he got me ordained. That's why I became an arhat. Let's check. Anticipatory translation. Deche deshe shepa. That's why. Che means that's why I met the Buddha. And that's why sem number 2. That's why my mind was liberated. And I became a Drachomba. I became an arhat. Okay. Dita Drachomba told Murky, okay, and this is a very moving sentence. She says, yeah, Mur means, yeah, okay, so I did achieve arhat. But before that, I went through a life which was like somebody holding a red-hot burning iron tongs at my feet, to my feet. It's like someone was holding red-hot iron to my feet for the whole life before that, okay? She says, I got to arhat, it was cool, but don't forget, before that, my whole life was like someone was burning me with a big red-hot piece of iron, okay? Kang til means to the soles of my feet. We had til do, tukdam til do, to hold the practice in your til. Okay. Then these 500 nuns who were listening to her story, who happened to be a very high caste before they became nuns. Those having heard what she taught, Ludan sem kiyate donwa la memor ki pumbotar togne döchak semyosu sete. Their döchak se. Z-A-D. This means disappear. Yeah. Usually they use it for shoes. Automobile tires. The rubber wears off or something, wears away. Their desire suddenly disappeared. Their desire to have a regular home life just disappeared. Okay, and they started to see the home life like a dong. Dong means a barbecue pit for a cow, baka. And mema mur means glowing red embers. Okay, so they started to see the home life like a fire pit of glowing embers, not somewhere you'd want to be. Okay. Kimgi dungela tsun rawe kyang klapar tokte. Tsun rawa means a prison. Okay, and this instrumental is the comparative, and this hlakpa is the hlak and hlaktong, which means vipassana, right? Which means to supervision. So they started to see that the kim was hlak, then the tsunra. The household life was worse than being in prison your whole life. Okay, all right. Like talks with an S. They suddenly woke up. They're like, oh my God. Okay, they understood. Tima kun sene, and suddenly all their imperfections, mala, right, got vimala. Okay, all their malas got vimala, and they went into Tinginzen, and then they all became arhats. The 500 ladies all became arhats. Okay, just sitting there with her. Okay, that seems pretty easy to me. Geloma dedaki siktumba geloma utpalam dakjagni. Siktumba means in one voice. They said, the 500 new arhatesses said to the nun Blue Lotus, Utpala, Döchaki kune chingshin lakpale. We were, what's that song? Amazing Grace? we were chained in our attachment to the home life, but you broke the chains and you taught us to be free. Okay, Chittembe, Korwe Tarchimbagyo. Because you taught us the Dharma, we have been Tarchin, my Lama's name, Tarchin, we have escaped the suffering of samsara. Right? This is if you know sutras well, you can smell that we're coming to the end. Because then the Buddha gets up and says something, right? Then the Buddha stood up. Keloma Upaleni. This teaching by the nun, Utpala, Lekpatan, Lekso. That's awesome. Okay. I can feel like the Dalai Lama is standing up and saying, that's awesome, that's a good teaching. Tendo, Kanchetabani, Chiki Tende Debutomna. When I see my students teaching each other, okay, and somebody gets to a high spiritual level because they were sitting together and teaching each other, it makes me so happy. And then I think you are a real daughter of the Buddha. Then it makes me feel like you're a real daughter of the Buddha. If I see my daughters making each other arhats, it makes dad so happy. Okay. She ngak so. This ngak doesn't mean tantra, it means he praised them. Yeah, he said, wow, you guys are so cool. Okay. When he had said that, everybody was happy. That's the 25th, thus concludes the 25th chapter of the Sutra on the Wise and the Foolish, named the chapter of the nun Utpala. Yay, we're done. See you next class. Oh, don't forget why we had it's okay. Why is this story coming here? Because Buddha is trying to say you can't always see the relationships that you had in the past, okay? Like you can go through your whole life and unless you become an arhat, you won't understand why all the trouble's coming to you in your life. And especially, you won't recognize who's been your mom before, okay? Cool, yay.